You like sexy gyms, I like sexy gyms, so let's take a look at one of the sexiest, most unique gyms in the world in today's episode of Gym Porn Breakdown. Hey guys, Ty from Vive Media here, and welcome to the first episode of Gym Porn Breakdown, where each week we're going to take a look at one of the sexiest gyms in the world, and we're going to break down why does it look so damn good, and how can you replicate some of these looks in your own gym. Today we're going to get started with one of the most impressive, unique, and dare I say Russian boxes I've ever seen, Backstage CrossFit in St. Petersburg, Mother Russia. So let's jump in and break down this amazing box. So as soon as we walk in, we immediately get those industrial vibes, the polished concrete, the brushed steel, the brick up on the side there. Immediately you kind of know what you're in for, right? But they pull it off in a professional way. And doing an industrial kind of look, a lot of boxes, a lot of businesses, cafes do it as well. A lot of people try it, and the majority of people fall over. They go too industrial. There's a very fine line between industrial and just looking like crap. And thankfully, the guys here at Backstage have done a really good job of walking that fine line. So yes, it is dark. Yes, they've got the steel, they've got the grids, they've got the concrete, the bare concrete. But they've also lit it up. And we're going to talk a lot today about lighting and how important it is in general, but especially if you want to go for this dark, moody look. So if we turn to our left here in the reception area, again, you've got a lot of exposed brick. You've still got those polished floors. You've got those amazing looking steel doors. But now we can start to see some of the softening elements. And this is really important with the design. And I'm by no means an expert on interior design, but I do know that you need balance. So if I'm gonna have all of these raw materials, this brick, this steel, this concrete, I need to balance it out. And what these guys have done really well is they've balanced it out, number one, with light, so bringing light to certain areas so it doesn't feel so dungeon-like, but mostly with greenery, with plants. And you're gonna see this repeated with these guys again and again. So over on the left here, you've got a ton of plants, and then I think you've got some over on the right here. It's just a nice way to soften up that industrial feel. So that's a big lesson right there, is if you want to go hard one way, you need to kind of balance it out a little bit the other way. All right, next up we've got the box itself. And this is another great example. They've done some really interesting things here that I love. So firstly, they've gone for a dark gym, right? And the rest of the box is dark, so this kind of works. But one thing that I cannot say enough is that it's not a black gym. I never, ever recommend painting your gym black. What these guys have done is not black. It's a dark gray. It's a charcoaly color. It's just soft enough to reflect just a little bit of light. When you go full black, it absorbs all light. It closes in the space. It's very, very hard to pull off, even if you've got a big space, but especially when, a lot of boxes that are 100 square meters to 300 square meters, you should never, ever go black. So that's the first lesson, is don't go black. If you want a dark gym, number one, make sure you've got enough of an area where it doesn't kind of confine and bring those walls in. And number two, go for a dark charcoal instead of a black. Second thing they've done, again with balance, is they've got lightening elements. So in this case, they've got the brick. If we look at the other side, we've got a wall on the left here as well that is brick, and you can see that darker brick across the back there. But the two main brick walls there, they're nice and light. They balance out the rest of the darkness in the gym. Another balancing element, again, something we're going to talk about a lot, is lights. You've got these strip lights running vertically. Again, I love these lights. I really, really dig them. By the looks of things, they're LED and they're daylight balanced. That's a really big deal. Anyone who's got a gym in a warehouse with those halogen lights that kind of give an orange glow, number one, they're not very nice. They're not very good for your eyes, cause a lot of eye strain. And also to take photos and videos in, they give everybody this horrible kind of cast, usually like a green cast to their skin. It's not nice at all. But these bar lights, they bring a lot of light to the gym. They look nice. It looks like they're LED, so they're going to be a nice daylight color, and they're power efficient. And the length, running them all in a row like that kind of lengthens the gym. It gives it dimension. And then the last thing I want to point out they've done in the gym here is, they've got a ceiling that's not great to look at, all right? A lot of gyms have got this, sometimes you've got that silver insulation stuff, or you might just have bare beams. So again, they've used that dark charcoal, again, not black, but that dark charcoal paint to just get rid of everything. The air conditioning conduit, the beams, the insulation, all of it, just paint it all dark charcoal. And again, as long as below that, you've got some lights that kind of blow it out, people won't notice. This is something you see a lot in, you know, cafes and stuff like that as well. So as far as the gym space goes, really good. They've got wall-mounted rigs, which from a practical point of view, I'm a big fan of. With some exceptions, I generally don't like center rigs. I think they can break up a space. It can be difficult for new coaches. Whole bunch of reasons, but all in all, really like the gym space. It's fairly standard gym space for a CrossFit box, but the point is I want you to see the balance. I want you to see that, you know, if they're going to go far one way, they have to balance it out the other way. So gym space looks really good. They've also got a couple of other spaces. This looks like a yoga Pilates type space. Again, they've maintained the polished concrete. They've maintained the look with the brick up the top here. They've also got those same bar lights again to maintain that. Looks like they're hung off chains, which is kind of a nice industrial feel. And then that wall at the back there is custom fabricated, which is kind of, I like it. I think it's impressive. It's an unnecessary design element, but I do like it. Anytime we can add glass into a gym, anytime we can add windows, anytime we can knock down walls and make the place feel more open, I'm all for it. Even having the polished concrete floor makes the space look bigger because it acts like a mirror. So yeah, I really dig that space. Again, it's not CrossFitty like we're used to, but it's a really good use of that space. Next up is the bathrooms. This is where things get interesting and I really like it. So they've got this reclaimed wood look with the benches there. Now, reclaimed wood is something that a lot of people try to do. They think that, number one, it's going to be cheap because you're using, you know, things like pallets and stuff like that. And number two, they've seen photos of it on Pinterest or whatever, and they think it's going to look amazing. And 9 times out of 10, it looks absolutely awful. There are people who do this for a living. There are carpenters and shop fitters and people who do this kind of a fit out, the rustic fit out for a living. And obviously these guys have used those services. It's not as simple as whacking a bunch of really cheap pine pallets, you know, boards that are all warped and all messed up and got holes in them and, you know, maybe not treated. There's a lot that goes into it. So if you are going to go for that rustic look, my strong advice is to get someone who knows what they're doing, who's done that before, and pay a little bit extra and have it done right. Because if it's not done right, like I said, fine line between that industrial look and just looking like shit. I've seen a lot of boxes that have attempted that rustic look, that reclaimed wood look, and just look like shit. So yeah, I really dig this long bench in the middle here. If we have a look, we've got the lockers. Again, they've used that reclaimed wood. That might be real wood. I've also seen people do this with, you can get floorboards that are actually just laminate floorboards. So it's composite wood material. It can be a really cheap way to get that look as well. But again, you know, just because you can build a couple of ply boxes by yourself doesn't mean you should be getting into something this complicated. I 100% guess that they've had these custom made by someone who knows what they're doing. The brick is there. Those lights are there up the top as well. All in all, it's very consistent. It's very on brand for them. I like it. I think it really matches the rest of the place. All right, next up, we've got the showers. This was the one that turned me a little bit. I was kind of surprised when I posted this up as affiliate porn a year or two ago. You know, this by far was one of the boxes that really blew up, that got shared and people were blown away by. And very few people had anything to say about the showers. I love the rest of this gym. You know, rustic isn't my style when I have gyms, but I appreciate it. I think it looks great and I think they've pulled it off really well. The showers is where I think it just goes a little bit too far. But again, I'm not the owners. I don't know the culture. I'm not Russian. I don't know if this is you know, part of the aesthetic there. But to me, it just looks like a scene from the new Saw movie. I imagine very, very bad things happening in there, but I get it. It matches their aesthetic. And then there's some of the taps. I don't think they're from the bathroom, but again, you see that kind of matches the aesthetic. And this is one of the cool things that I see gyms do, you know, in their bathrooms, is if you want to go with that rustic look, you can do a lot with copper piping and industrial taps and that kind of stuff. And it does look great, again, as long as the brand is consistent. All right, now we've got a very different feel, right? So if we just duck back real quick and compare the shower space to what I'm assuming is, you know, outside of the toilets, the wash basin space, I feel like this is a lot more balanced. This, they've found the perfect balance between the rustic and industrial. So obviously they've got the brick, but it's been painted. They've got the raw ceilings, but they've been painted. They've got nice directional lights in front of it. They've got the checker plate steel there. They've got the kind of grid steel on the shelves, but they've got a lot of softening elements as well. So number one, not using black paint, using a softer gray paint is a softening element. Number two, obviously the lighting. Number three, the biggest one, is going to be those plants. Okay, so again, if you're going to go one way with your gym, with your design in general, you have to balance it out. Okay, it doesn't have to be 50-50, but you have to throw that little bit of a balancing element in there. And just as a side note, they've kind of done it here, but plants are a great way to soften corners in a gym. You know, generally boxes are boxes, right? We've got 90-degree angles, and they can be quite harsh angles. I love putting, whether it's real plants or fake plants, in the corners. It just softens out those areas, makes them look a lot nicer, especially in bathrooms and stuff where you do want, just a little bit of a softer touch. So really like these bathrooms. One thing I think they've also done is they've offset these mirrors off the wall, and I'm a big fan of that. I do that with anything I can, whenever I can. I try and create some depth, right? And offsetting is as simple as using a spacer, a little bit of dowel. You know, it's easy to do. You can do it in a million ways, but it just gives a little bit of depth where there wouldn't have been. So these could be cheap IKEA mirrors, and you can make it look like just something a little bit nicer just by offsetting it just a touch. If you really want to go gangster on it, you can offset it and then run a strip of LED lights around the back. You know, you're going to use about $5 worth of LED light strips for each of those. And now not only does it sit off the wall, but it has this glow effect to it. It looks really, really nice. A little bit of extra work, but you know, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about gym porn. So top tip, anytime you can add depth by stepping something off the wall. For example, a lot of boxers will put plywood strips along the wall in their gym for handstand push-ups. I always offset them just by an inch or two off the wall. Just gives a little bit of depth. It doesn't take a significant amount of room up in your gym. It makes the plywood look like it's floating if you step it up off the ground a little bit. It looks really, really nice. So yeah, top tip, anytime you can kind of add some depth and dimension to something, I definitely recommend it. The hand towels are a nice touch. Again, they bring a little bit of white and softening element to it, but it's also just a premium feature, which is what you expect from a gym like this. And if we look, Old Business Tie is impressed. They've got a checklist off in the corner there. With checklists like that, I always make them public because I want my members to know that we take care of this place. I want them to know that every hour we're coming in and we're looking and making sure that this area is clean. Some systems we hide. We just want it to be, magically perfect without them realizing. Some systems I don't mind my members knowing about, and that's one of them. Good work to these guys. All right, another nice shot of the bathroom. You can see there's a bit of a mural on the wall, kind of behind the person shooting there. So that's nice. I like it. And again, another kind of way of showing how we've separated this space without creating a wall. They could have put a wall here where that shelf is, but it would have closed off that space. It's quite a small space. It's quite a dark space. So by putting a shelf with some plants on it, it's opened that space up a little bit. Really nicely done, guys. I love it. All right, and then just as a little bit of a piece de resistance for this place, they've got a cafe as well. I believe it's upstairs. Again, this is entirely unnecessary. I generally tell boxers to definitely don't put a cafe in the gym. When you look at the top three most likely to fail or most commonly failing businesses in the world, number one is cafes and restaurants, and number two is gyms and fitness studios. So the idea of mixing both of those together, I'm never a real big fan of, but these guys have done it and they've gone all out, and I think they've done a great job. Again, I don't know the demographic. I don't know if this gym is maybe within a bigger building where a cafe makes sense. But if you're going to do it, this is the way to do it. I really like it. Again, they've kept that rusticness. And again, we talk about lighting. Look at all of those lights. You've got these really cool, nice kind of mood lights to just give it a little bit. Look at the shadows. Look at the shapes that they create. That's beautiful. And then I'm guessing at night when it gets a little bit darker, all of these other lights kind of light up to give that firefly effect. Really, really nicely done. Again, maintaining the rustic look with all the metal chairs and wooden tables and stuff like that. Yeah, very, very nice. And then upstairs, I think this is just another part of the cafe or whatever area. But again, you've got the polished floor, you've got the metal, you've got the wood, and then you're softening it up with a little bit of greenery. It's consistent, and that's what I like, and that's what a lot of boxers miss, is they miss, number one, that consistency, and number two, the balance. So all in all, amazing work to the guys at Backstage CrossFit. It's beautiful. I've been to a lot of places, but I've never been to Russia. And when I get a chance, the first place I'm going is Backstage CrossFit in St. Petersburg to see this place for myself. I'd love to go there and film it as well and do a proper walkthrough video for you guys. But Let me know, guys, what do you think? What do you think about Backstage CrossFit? Do you love it? Is it perfect? Is it your cup of tea, or maybe not? If you love it, what do you love about it? If you don't, what don't you love about it? What have you learned? What can you take from this video and apply in your own gym? If you've got a partner or a coach or someone who you think you want to bounce ideas off, tag them down below. I want this to help you guys more than just the gym porn photos that we've been putting out previously, where it's just, hey, look at this. I actually want these little videos to help you guys. I want to try and share some advice, and instead of people in the comments of gym porn photos saying it's all nice if you've got money, I want to share the concepts so that you can, whatever your budget is, execute those concepts within your gym and turn your own gym into a gym porn box as well. So let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. Number one, about this beautiful Backstage CrossFit, and number two, what you think about this segment. Do you want to see more of it? Do you have a gym that you want me to break down? One that you've seen, one that you own perhaps? Drop a comment below. And as always, guys, thank you so much. Have an amazing week. I'll see you next week in Gym Porn Breakdown. Bye-bye.